Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. Our guest today is Mr. Billie Johnson, who is a great friend of mine, and I have known Mr. Billie Johnson for many years. He is the chairman of the Republican Party's 2nd Congressional District in Wisconsin. There are a total of 8 congressional districts in Wisconsin, and the 2nd Congressional District is located in the south central part of the state. And if you think about the state capital, Madison, Wisconsin, Madison is located in Dane County, and Dane County is located in the 2nd Congressional District. And Mr. Johnson has been a guest on my show before, and it's a pleasure to have him as a guest again for this episode. So, Mr. Johnson, welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So let's start with understanding the importance of the year 2026. Politically, this is going to be, I think, a very important year. There are some very, very important political races. And so let's start this conversation by talking about the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. So right now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court is under liberal control. The liberals have the majority. There are 4 liberal justices and 3 conservative justices. And one of the conservative justices, Rebecca Bradley, chose not to run for re-election. So it's an open seat now. And the liberal candidate running for this seat is Chris Taylor. And the conservative candidate is Maria Lazar. And the election is coming up. It's in April. So if the conservative candidate wins, we keep the seat in our control. Us meaning I'm a conservative, you're a conservative. So if the conservative candidate wins, we keep the seat in our control. If the liberal wins, then we lose another Supreme Court seat, and then the court would become even more liberal than it is now. So share with me your thoughts about this very important race that's coming up, the election being in April.
I like Ms. Lazar's campaign so far. She's being much more aggressive. Our judicial candidates cannot seem to adapt to the modern environment. They don't want to say how they're going to vote on issues, and the Democrats have no problem with that. When they talk about there's judicial guidelines, we're not supposed to do it, well, the Democrats do it. And be honest, people want to know how someone's going to vote. I want to know how they're going to vote. And we've always taken this restrained approach. Our last 2 candidates, last 3 elections, one person ran twice. Pretty basically bland campaigns, talking about the law, a rule from the bench, which no one knows what we're talking about when you say we're not going to make any laws from the bench, right? But I think that goes over most people's heads. Whereas Ms. Lazar has not quite gone all the way to saying how she'd vote, but she's definitely hitting back against Chris Taylor, the Democrats' background, because she's a judge now because the Democratic governor appointed her one, but she a radical assemblyman, a lot of history, a lot of votes to talk about. So I don't know how the election's going to turn out because liberal money is pouring in from the coasts, and we just can't match it. But at least we have a fighter for once. So I hope it comes out.
What do you think about Maria Lazar's just overall campaign strategy? I mean, you and I, we've both seen many elections here in Wisconsin in the past. You've seen, a lot more than I have. You have so much of experience, decades of experience. So what do you think? What's your overall, impression of the campaign strategy, and what are the challenges in this race for the conservatives?
Biggest problem is getting our folks to vote. And that's where it takes money, ads and phone calls and paid door knockers. And I don't know if we have the money. I don't know if we have the $10 million or $15 million that's going to pour into the Democrats' campaign. And Democrats always vote. Our folks don't. And maybe it's a long-term Republican problem because we've often ignored nonpartisan races for decades till recently. And it takes a long time to get that culture going, whereas the Democrats vote every election. That's just what you do. I grew up in a family of Democrats. They conservative Democrats, but they always voted no matter what. Even if you didn't know it was on the ballot. February, it's snowing on a February primary, you still drive 3 miles to vote. That's what you did. Not everybody's like that. And I've gone to gun shows for the Trump campaign in 2019 and 2020 till everything shut down. And just to get those people motivated was like, I was handing out cards for a Supreme Court justice in Eau Claire, and they said, "Oh, it's just another Madison crook." I mean, just like, I can't get, you got to break through that. So they don't vote, the Democrats vote, and we lose. And I hope it comes out different this time. I don't know what it takes to wake people up, but they, it's our own problem. It's our own people don't vote. The last candidate, Brad Schimmel, his goal was to get 60% of the Trump vote. And basically, historically, that would win for Wisconsin. Well, he got like 62% of the Trump vote. They exceeded their goal, but the Democrats turned out 77% of the Harris votes, and we lost in a landslide. But, and the polls were looking like Schimmel was within a point. It was looking good. Money was coming in. Eldon Musk was in here and spending some money, and it was looking positive, but the turnout killed us. It was a 10-point loss, and no one saw the 10-point loss coming. I doubt even the Democrats saw it coming. So it's a big hill to climb. I hope Maria can do it. She's got an opponent that's more favorable to doing it against with the Taylor's background.
So, how do we overcome this challenge that we meaning we the conservatives, because we have been seeing in past spring elections, in past, if you look at the recent few years, the spring elections have been so challenging. And if there's a statewide race like the Supreme Court race, we've faced some serious losses. And so why is it that we have a turnout issue in the spring, and how do we overcome that? How do we get the conservatives to go out and vote in the spring?
The only one that can really pull it off is Trump. They come out to vote for him. They've come out to vote for him 3 times now, but the people will vote for Trump and then they don't vote again. And you hope they come out in November. It's a whole culture that we can't do it in 6 weeks before the spring election, but it's a whole culture that's starting to change. For the first time, we had a candidate the party was backing for the superintendent of public instruction. Usually we've ignored that. The Democrats just get an easy win. And it's the whole attitude of historically with the party. I was working for a DPI candidate it was just January of 2017. It was public instruction. And I got a call from the then chair of the Eau Claire County Republican Party. And she said, one of our executive board members said it's illegal for political parties to help nonpartisan candidates. I never heard such a thing. I mean, and so I said, okay, it's not, but I'll call the Ethics Commission to find out. And they called them, they were nice. They sent me an email. It's perfectly legal. As the guy from the Ethics Commission said, there's no difference between partisan and nonpartisan elections. It's just a label is all. One's running on a party label, one is not. The law treats them the same. Now, some elections, local elections, you report to the county clerk as far as financial reporting. But other than those minor reporting differences, there's no difference. It's perfectly legal. The Democrats had known that for decades, and this is only 10 years ago. And this was not the man on the street kind of thing. This is a member who made it to the executive county, the Eau Claire County Executive Committee, and he still was believing, well, we can't do this. And the former chair of Waukesha County was upset that our candidate for DPI was campaigning in October and September. He said, it'll confuse voters. You shouldn't start your campaign until after the November election. How can you get a statewide campaign going against a well-funded incumbent in 4 months? You can't do it. You need to be running like a year or two ahead of time and raising money. So it's a whole mindset, and the leadership is changing under Chairman Schimmel. He's doing a good job. Brian is really getting us involved in nonpartisan races. Sometimes your nonpartisan race is more, your vote in Wisconsin in April may be more important than who you vote for more affect you more than who you vote for in November. Your local taxes keep going up and up and up. It's because you don't vote and the other side does. So, but I
Yeah.
don't want to talk too much, but the other thing is to get people have to know what the state this country is in. And we're not. They're floating along their average life, not realizing what threats we're facing. But I like reading history. And in 1858, Abraham Lincoln was running for the U.S. Senate in Illinois. And in June of 1858, he gave a speech at the Illinois Republican Convention, and he then uttered his soon-to-be famous quote. He started off, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," said Lincoln. He went on to say, "I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the house to fall, but I do expect it will cease to be divided. It's going to become all of one thing or all of another." So now 162 years later, we have the same choice. It's not slavery versus freedom. It's freedom versus communism. And that's what we're on the verge of here with the radical socialist and Democratic Party. And people have to get that sense of urgency, and they don't. I was at the Iowa County Caucus a few weeks ago, low attendance. I was surprised that usually it's Sauk County Caucus yesterday. Usually it's a room full of people and they're standing in the back, and there was a lot of room. And Dane County Caucus, well, we had 75 people a couple of weeks ago. And problem with Republicans is all we like to do is fight with each other. So 3 years ago in Dane County, we had 460 people at that caucus. Now, 3 years, after 2.5 years, the Republicans fighting with each other, we have 75. You can't win like that. You can't, Democrats unite and we fight each other. So until people wake up and Republicans wake up and realize that you may not care about government, there's the old saying, you might ignore politics, but politics might not ignore you. I'm paraphrasing that, but that's kind of the case for a lot of these people. They ignore politics, they don't vote, they complain about their taxes, but they don't go out and vote. They don't see the linkage. I don't know. Just keep trying.
Let me ask you about the upcoming governor's race. That's in November, and Tom Tiffany is the Republican candidate. He received President Trump's endorsement. So all the Republicans, or most, I believe, are supporting Tom Tiffany because he has been the front runner, and now he's the candidate with President Trump's endorsement. So you look at the previous two gubernatorial elections, the one in 2018 when Tony Evers, the Democrat candidate at the time, was first elected when he ran against, at the time, incumbent Governor Scott Walker. And then in 2022, when Tony Evers, the Democrat governor, got reelected and the Republican candidate, Tim Michels, lost, what should the Republican candidate do differently this time to ensure victory? Because we have seen two consecutive losses in the governor's race in 2018 and 2022. So what should Tom Tiffany do to ensure a solid victory?
It's not so much, not just Tiffany, but I'd say the Walker campaign, he was running for a third term, and that's kind of hard in Wisconsin. There's been, I think, only one other government had a third term. So you were kind of running up, one of these things where your enemies accumulate and your friends dissipate. It was close in the end. But I didn't see a lot of motion in that campaign either. So regarding 2022, as soon as Tim Michels, and it's not against Tim, as soon as Tim Michels declared his candidacy, we lost the election because it turned into be a nasty primary fight. It got ugly at times, maybe not between the candidates, but between the candidate supporters, and accusations going back and forth. And Republicans can't do primaries. I hate to say it, but Democrats can. But Republicans, the loser, we're individualists. When our candidate loses, we get mad, we don't vote. And we don't contribute, we don't vote, we don't help the campaign. And the Clayfish people went home mad and stayed home. And that was a winnable election. It wasn't the red wave year we all thought it would be, but that was not good. In 2014, I was helping a young assembly candidate, Ashton Kirsch. It was an open seat, 40th Assembly District, 80th Assembly District. It's now in what mostly all Sauk County, a little bit of Dane, and open seat. Incumbent didn't run. 3 Democrats were running in the primary. 3 Republicans were running in the primary. After the primary, the next day, the 3 Democrats got together at a press conference, love fest. Republicans, the 2 losers didn't call and congratulate Ashton. They wouldn't talk to him. He called them. They wouldn't call him back. They wouldn't endorse him. We can't win like that. Democrats didn't even wait for the primary in 2022 for the Senate. Everyone dropped out and endorsed Mandela Barnes before anyone voted. So, including the one guy that spent $12 million on this campaign and just dropped out. They have a way of making people drop out, and we keep the fight going. So, when Josh Schoeman, who I really respect now, dropped out of this race and left it open, I told the Sauk County Caucus yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, Tom Tiffany is the presumptive nominee, and that's the way I'm going to act. And if somebody else wants to jump in the race, well, that's fine, but don't expect any help from me because it's Tom Tiffany. And I've liked what I've seen. He's aggressive. He's got that thing. You follow social media. They're going right after the Democrats for their crazy stuff. Mutilation of boys, men and women's sports. I like how he's going after the Democrats. That's what gets votes. I mean, that's what Donald Trump does, and a lot of the Republican establishment hate that. They like, you got to be nice, friendly, winsome. Don't criticize the Democrats. I've heard one local Republican say, it gets them mad, more of them will vote, and hurts the ticket. No. The Democrats are always going to vote. Give our people some motivation to vote. And so far, I like what I've seen. Just not having a primary is going to be good. There probably used to be some minor candidates and something, but the primary is basically over. It's Tiffany against whoever wins. The Democrats seem to their fight now, but a lot of Republicans are kind of thinking, oh, it's great the Democrats are fighting. They'll all get together after the primary. Don't worry about that. They're all various forms of socialists. There won't be any differences. No one's going to go home and not vote because their candidate didn't win. So,
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question, but I think you've already answered that. I was going to ask you about Tom Tiffany's campaign performance so far, and whether, in your opinion, you think that the campaign team has the right approach, the right strategy heading towards November. If there's anything you'd like to add.
No, what he needs is a lot of money because the out-of-state money's pouring in. Hopefully, we can all call on the Democrats to return Reid Hoffman's money. He's all over the Epstein files. So, Democrats, if that was a Republican, the Democrats would be screaming, demanding that all Republicans turn back money given for Reid Hoffman. We need to start doing that. I mean, that's time to fight back against them. And so, who knows who else the Democratic contributors show up in the Epstein files. So we got to use that against them.
Now, this is a midterm election that's coming up, and the midterm election seems to be challenging, especially for the party that is in power. So right now, the Republicans are in charge. The Republicans have the White House, the House, and the Senate. And at the same time, you see that the Democrats seem to be very motivated. I mean, they're out there. They've got their left-wing talking points. They're screaming and chanting, using social media, using their friendly news outlets to get their talking points out there. So coming back to the governor's race, how do you think that might impact the governor's race? I mean,
well, the Democrats are voting. We just got to match their turnout. There's no way. They seem to always be energized, and they're mad and they're angry. But you know what? They got the radical politics. If we only point it out to people, and they're driving each other farther left as they go, they embarrass themselves. They hear the boycotting a State of the Union. A lot of them are, and probably heckling too. I mean, it's like they're their own worst enemies. So I hope they keep doing what they're doing. We have the votes. We are the majority. We have to get our people out to vote. They're they're the radical 30% of the country at best. So I use their radicalism against them. Give our people motivation.
Now, if somebody says, okay, the Republicans, you guys are in power, and this is a midterm, so looking at history, this is going to be an unfavorable election for the Republicans. I mean, how would you respond to that? Do you think that we are at a disadvantage?
Well, historically, yes. Midterm elections are usually bad for the incumbents. In fact, the only exceptions I know of are 1934 and 2002. 2002 was a pretty good. That's right after 9/11, and the Democrats kind of overplayed their hand. I just think things are so different this time with the Democrats' actions and the narrow majorities in the Congress. In fact, the Republicans can't get some of their stuff through. Democrats are always motivated. This could be another exceptional year. There's not been many. And the House being so close, you can't stand any losses. But like I said, this is what I talked about. We're at a choice now of communism or freedom. If we can get people, you can see what happened in Virginia. The candidate Virginia, they ran on affordability. We need affordability is bad. And as soon as they're elected, there's a whole list of all the radical stuff they're pushing on. They want back to mutilating boys and girls. The DEI programs are back. Tax increases on everything from Uber rides on up, making things less affordable. That's the playbook we have to use. Don't believe affordability. Alternate news helped. Twitter helps. I wish more Republicans get on it. I mean, I don't know if Trump would have won if Elon Musk hadn't bought Twitter, because that's the way around the news media. And hopefully they'll get what's going on. The equality doctrine has been totally violated by these news media. It's like one late night talk show goes to like 177 Democrats and one Republican. And the one Republican was the lady from Wyoming who hated Trump. That's biased public media that you shouldn't be around. They shouldn't have. So hopefully media will be a little bit better. They haven't been so far, but we've got our alternative media, and just get people to turn out the noise and the BS. And so we'll see. It's going to be the fight of our life.
So let's talk about the 2nd Congressional District. You are the Republican leader in this district, and the 2nd Congressional District, for those who may be watching this or listening to this podcast episode from out of state and may not be familiar with the Wisconsin Congressional Districts, the 2nd District is one of the most challenging congressional district for the Republicans in the state. The 2nd Congressional District is heavily blue, particularly in Dane County, but we do have a large number of Republican votes here, especially, in Dane County. We're not the majority, but we still have a huge number of votes. So if we move the needle even a little bit, it has a huge statewide impact. And so I want to ask you, what's your strategy for the 2nd Congressional District as we approach the April election for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and then eventually the November election?
Things have changed in the last few years. Dane County was never doing very much, and then Brandon Malley was elected chairman, and he actually raised lots of money, and it's continuing. He's moved on. He got a promotion out of state, but it's continuing on where the Dane County party is functional. And the rest of the district, the other 5 counties, Trump won. Those other 5 counties, you add up all the votes, he won it by 500 votes. So not a lot, but it was that's a win. So this whole district isn't bad. Trump increased his vote in 20 municipalities in Dane County. We just got killed here in Madison, Sun Prairie, Stoughton. But we don't have to win here. We can't win here. We just have to do better. And that's not really a great motivational cry. Let's lose by less, but that's what you have to do. Scott Walker in his recall got 22% of the vote in Dade County and won statewide. So and Donald Trump got 23.4% and won statewide by almost 30,000 votes. And if we could get 30% of the vote in Dane County, Democrats could not win statewide. They're losing votes in Milwaukee. They're losing votes. Racine, Kenosha, Beloit, Janesville used to be centers of Democratic activity and votes, and it's slipping. Kenosha and Racine, the biggest gains were in this area were Beloit and Janesville for Trump. And there's some Hispanic precincts in Milwaukee that were carried by Trump. Huge gains there. So it's possible that, it's changing here too a little bit. Dane County actually led all the counties and increased Trump votes in 2024, and Milwaukee County was second. So again, we're just to cut down those margins here and get the low propensity voters out to vote. And they did come out. Trump had a massive crowd here. He got 85,454 votes in Dane County. So there are Republicans here. They're all in hiding and they're intimidated. So, but we're out there. We're out. Not some of us are not intimidated, but we're out there and grow that up to 9,500,000 votes. Democrats can't win statewide, especially if they start losing ground in Milwaukee. They've got a real problem in their hands when they're losing those cities.
And so the numbers that you shared, it's very important. It's important for statewide Republican conservative candidates to understand the importance of Dane County. And so in your conversations with the Mario Lazar team and Tom Tiffany's team, have you emphasized these numbers, or do you think they understand how important Dane County is and the 2nd Congressional District, and how much time they need to spend here?
I have emphasized the numbers. I hope they understand. We got to get money in this area. That's one thing that changed in the last few years. The previous chair and now the new one for Dane County, it's working on getting fundraising. I've just sent out got another mailing go out tomorrow, but nearly 200 letters to large donors all over the state and out of state. We've registered. We're a congressional district, but we're a political party. We're registered now, state of Wisconsin, with a separate account and separate federal employer number, and we're operating under the state rules this year in the state. And we can raise a lot of money if we can get it in here. It takes a lot to say, why should we spend money in the Madison media market? We can't win. That's what I've heard people say. Yeah, and I just say, yes, you can't win here, but you can lose the whole election here too, and we do. Ron Johnson in 2022 won by 26,000 votes, but if you take the 2nd District out of it, he was leading by 90,000 or more votes than the rest of the state, and that includes the Democratic areas of Milwaukee and all over. But he was here all the time in Dane County, and he got enough votes, and he won the state by 26,000. So Trump got the message. He was here. I never thought I would see Donald Trump in Dane County. I never did. And Donald Trump in Wanakee. It's amazing. So it was a smaller venue, but there were thousands of people outside. And that's what you got to do. Don't run from here. So I do hope they spend time in here. Tom Tiffany did come for a fundraiser for the 2nd District back in November of 2023. So I hope I can I raised $85,000 2 years ago. I want to raise over $100,000 this year. That's pretty minor in the scheme of things, but for this area, it's huge because basically we were running on budgets of $25,000 in this district a few years ago, and you can't win a thing with $25,000. You can't even do anything. So if the donors keep donating like they did, and 3 years ago when I started raising money, I could only promise, here, if you give us money, here's what we're going to do. Now I can say, look what we've done. We did a $25,000 ad buy that got over 1 million impressions. And we focused that on non-propensity voters in the other 5 counties, as well as the townships ringing Dane County, which are more conservative. And of course, everyone claims credit when there's a victory, but I think we got our message out. We helped local county parties. We helped them with offices. I mean, the Democrats have so much money that in Lafayette County, our least populated county, they got 2 offices, not just 1, but 2 full-time offices. But we were able to help the Lafayette County Party get a office in Shullsburg, and it was pretty successful because they made a lot of money for the party selling Trump gear to people coming up from Illinois. There's like 3 miles from the border. So a lot of work, but I think we can do it. We can help get Governor Tiffany in office. Hope we can help Maria Lazarbe on the state Supreme Court. He's a good candidate.
Now, recently we found out that some very, very prominent figures in the state legislature have decided not to seek re-election. We heard that Senator Steve Nass has decided not to seek re-election. Then Speaker of the Assembly, Robin Vos, announced that he is not seeking re-election. What impact do you think these retirements will have on the state legislative races and the overall balance of power in the state legislature? And then do you think, the second part, do you think that the Republicans will be able to hold on to the majority in the state Senate, where things seem to be very competitive and the
Very
margin is very
competitive,
narrow?
the Democratic gerrymandering of the state was incredible. I mean, I love it how they run against gerrymandering, but they're the masters of it when they get in charge. So, they've got some weird districts going on here, and now they got the Supreme Court to back them. But it's going to depend, honestly, on whether there's a red wave or not this fall. It's going to depend on how the whole national economy is going. The state Senate, though, we only have to win 2. There's like 4 toss-up districts, and we only need to win 2 of those. One of them is here with Senator Howard Markline. We've got to get him reelected. We got a chance. I think the Assembly's pretty good. We lost 10 seats with the redistricting last time, but now all those 10 incumbents have track records. There was the blank slate that could promise everything they wanted to the voters. Now they got track records, and the track records are all radical left because you have to, or you'd be primaried out of office by your own party. So I think we could hang on to both. I also don't like to play defense. I think we should go after some districts. There's one in far northern Wisconsin that has a chance. There's a couple others out there too. So I just don't want to play defense. I want to play offense. As long as you can find some good candidates and fund them and they get aggressive. Republicans have to get out of the Republican bubble. That's the other problem we have. Republican candidates go to, it's fine now in the spring, but you go to summer picnics, you go to party meetings and stuff. You're never getting out to the voters. There's a guy from Stevens Point. He does some of the social media for us. We've got a really good TikTok account. No thanks to me because I can't figure it out. But it's Neil does a good job. But he was talking about there's some ice cream place at Stevens Point that when they open up, there's 150 to 200 people waiting in line every spring. So, the Democratic candidate last year was up there, and there's a picture of her eating ice cream cone. So the Schimmel campaign comes out mocking her, saying she's like Joe Biden eating ice cream. But you know what? He said there was 200 people there. It wasn't a party rally. This lady who's not from Stevens Point, the candidate, is out there eating ice cream, meeting 200 people. Well, we're making fun of her for doing that. We got to get out beyond this bubble, get out to the people. And it's uncomfortable because you run into Democrats and they're obnoxious and they swear at you. But you know what? I don't mind protesters. It actually makes us look good. So I know some Republicans are scared to death to be a protester. I want them out there. I want them out embarrassing themselves. So I'm more of a fighter. I'm not very timid on these things. I take the fight to them.
Yeah. Is there any candidate, coming back to the 2nd Congressional District, is there any candidate running for the House of Representatives from the 2nd Congressional District?
Not yet. The Dane County Vice Chair is going to interview someone who's thinking of running. I don't even have the individual's name yet, but she said she talked to him. Everyone I've talked to, though, about running, including you, have said no. Sorry. But I hope we get a good candidate. I hope we get a candidate who's willing to attack Mark Pocan, because that's the whole thing is we've had candidates who won't say one word of criticism against him, one of the most radical Democrats around. If we just have a plate, there's trickle-up voting, as Senator Johnson liked to say. But that only works if you got a candidate that people want to vote for. Something exciting and new, and say, I want to go vote for John Doe is really good. Otherwise, so I go to vote for him. Well, I might as well vote for these other Republicans as long as I'm there. That's a trickle-up voting. If you just have a placeholder and a name on the ballot, no one wakes up and said, "Oh, I wasn't going to vote, but I'm going to vote today because of John Doe here." No, it doesn't work like that. So if we can't find a real good candidate who's a fighter, I would just soon not. This is heresy, but I've done plenty of heresy. I'd as soon not have a candidate run and use that money to help Tiffany and others get elected, because you're not going to beat Polk in this district. If you could put up a good competitor, maybe make them spend money here. But the fact is, if Polk needed to raise $20 million, you could raise $20 million because the left-wing interests will pour in here. So it'd be nice to have a good candidate and divert some Democratic money here. But still looking, plenty of time yet. The signatures aren't due till 2,000 signatures are needed. No, 1,000 signatures are needed by June 1st. So that's doable very quickly if someone comes aboard.
And, the way I see it, if there's a candidate from the Republican Party who's running for the 2nd Congressional District, yes, it is it is a very difficult district. The candidate who's running probably won't win, but, you never know. But at least if we have a candidate, then the candidate is going to the parades. The
Yep.
candidate is going to the dairy breakfast events. The candidate is, doing doors, shaking hands. And so,
If they do that,
it just gets more people interested.
Yeah.
Versus if we don't have a 2nd Congressional District candidate, then the pressure for the statewide candidates is even more, because they've got to be campaigning all over the state and they can't spend as much time in the 2nd district, right?
You're absolutely true. I was maybe overly negative there, but you have to have a candidate who's willing to campaign. And in the past, we haven't had that. You just have a name on the ballot. That was not the case the last 2 years. Eric Olson was out campaigning hard. So I don't think he's going to run again, and I don't blame him. That's a lot to run for Congress. But the last 2 elections have been good with a candidate. We had actually active primaries here too, so it got people out. But if we can like I said, if we have a good candidate who's going to get out there and they're going to yell at you and scream at you and swear at you, we have never nominated a female candidate for Congress. Republicans haven't. I wouldn't mind seeing that. We could find one willing to run again this year. But we've had a primary for 2 times. We should never have a primary in a district like this, because, again, you get hard feelings. Democrats can have primaries, we can't. So you could tell I hate Republican primaries, because I've seen them destroy candidates' chances of winning.
Yeah. So we just wait and see if somebody steps forward and decides to run or not.
We're not being passive. We're out looking, but so far we're being selective in looking, and so far we haven't found someone. But we got time. We're still working on it. So
right. So what are your thoughts about the balance of power in the House? I'm talking nationally. Will the Republicans continue to have the majority in the House beyond 2026 November?
Right now we're down to 1-seat majority. Don't know. I can tell you what's going to happen is, if the Democrats control it, even by a small amount, the immediate attempt is going to be to sabotage everything Trump does. The impeachments will start out. They're already talking about, grilling and investigating everything, and it'll be fed to the news media, and it's going to be another circus. It's going to destroy the Trump presidency. It's probably going to destroy this country. When they're all set for 2028, and they're already talking about all the folks they're going to arrest and imprison all the Trump folks, and how the Nazis used to talk about that in Germany before they took power. They're out talking about who they're going to arrest and who's this. And one congressman was threatening Pam Bondi on Twitter. Just said, remember, Richard Nixon didn't go to prison, he said, but his attorney general did. That's quite a threat you're putting out to some of these Republican appointees. They're coming for you. And if you read history, that's kind of how totalitarian parties take power, and they're acting more and more like one all the time. So this election, like I read that quote here from Lincoln, 150 years, we're there now. You want radical socialism or you want freedom? That's on the ballot this November. You won't be names of people on the ballot, but that's what's at stake. So the American people get to decide, and if you don't vote, you're voting for the Democrats. There's no neutrality here. you're you're supporting Democrats if you don't show up and vote, and that's the message we want to get across. So
Now, you've already mentioned this briefly, and let's talk about this. President Trump made a historic visit to Dane County. I believe it was October of 2024. You were there. I was there. Um, I had the great honor of leading everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance at that event when President Trump came to Wanakee. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was for the first time since 1996, a Republican presidential candidate visited Dane County for a campaign event. Uh, and now, as we enter an intense political campaign season, my question to you is, can we expect to see President Trump in Dane County or anywhere else in the 2nd Congressional District this year?
I can't promise it, but we are trying. I mean, I tried to have a Trump rally at the Kalahari. The owners supported that. But again, transportation was an issue. I think we could never get a Trump campaign to commit to that. But Wanakee was good. Yeah, I guess Bob Dole was here. And I followed politics since I was in grade school. I've always liked politics. I didn't even know Bob Dole was here in Dane County in '96 till somebody mentioned that about the time Trump got here. So tells you a lot about the '96 Dole campaign. So how much publicity it got. It's like no one even remembers it. But yes, that was huge. That was a turning point, and that's what we have to do. That's what you don't. For so long, candidates wouldn't come here. This is bad. To circle this area and stay out of it, and don't advertise in the media market, and don't spend money here. And a couple of our former chairman, Scott Craven's he was talking to some legislators who were running unopposed years ago, and said, "Can you get some? You're unopposed. You got money. You can transfer that around and get some money down to Dane County." We had a pretty good state Supreme Court candidate running, and they said, "Well, why should we do that? You can't win." That's been the attitude, and now it's changing, and I hope to change for the donors. Some donors have put a lot of money in here. I won't name them names, but yes, I just hope we could continue to get money in here because we need ads. We need issue ads on the radio and TV. There's almost no neutral media. The only conservative media is radio. Other than that, everything. Spectrum News. When you turn on television, you get Spectrum News, which is left slant. Everything is left slanted. Nice thing is the State Journal is shrinking and shrinking. It's like now smaller than the Weekly Advertiser used to be. So hopefully when the State Journal goes away, another Democrat propaganda machine will go away. And they look like they are going away as the newspaper circulation shrinks and the size of their paper shrinks. So maybe things are changing. I see Washington Post was laying off like 40% of their staff. So which made me happy. Just got to need to get rid of the other 60%, and country will be better off.
Let's talk about the next topic that I have, which is a very interesting one. I'm hearing that there's going to be a GOP convention, a national convention. It'll be a midterm convention, which I don't believe has happened before. Have you heard anything about it? And if it does take place, do you think that it will help mobilize the Republican voters nationally?
I haven't heard any more about it. I think it's a good idea because what it does is it gets past the media. They're almost obligated to cover it, and it gets the message out. They have to cover some of it live. And if they don't cover it, it's a news story that they're refusing to cover it. So yeah, it's one of these good ideas that Trump has. It's like it is a rally. It won't, in a sense, it doesn't do anything other than talk, but that's what most conventions do anyway. but it's a chance to get the message out and showcase our candidates and have them speak. And yeah, I think it's a good idea.
And highlight all the accomplishments,
Oh
all that
yes,
has been achieved. It's
yeah,
going to be one big event if it does take place, and I hope it does. And I don't know where it's going to be. I'm very eager to know, but it would be an opportunity nationally to highlight, to have all the speakers talk about, here's what we have achieved with a Republican majority in the House, in the Senate, and a Republican president. These are the things we have achieved in a very short span of time, and there's more that we can do. But we need to make sure that we not only hold on to the House majority, but hopefully grow it by some seats. I'm not going to make any prediction in terms of the numbers, and maybe hold on to the Senate majority and grow the Senate majority. And with Trump in the White House, there's an opportunity to do a lot more if we get the opportunity, if the voters will support that. So I like this idea. I'm just eager to know more. When is it going to be? Where? And so on and so forth.
as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. But no one's even mentioned that, at least because it's at a national level, not us, so we're not involved
Right.
until they actually decide to hold it and where. But
Yeah. 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 We don't know the details. And that's something. I was talking to somebody not too long ago about this, just a few days ago, and I just have questions because anything that's going to be a national convention type event in a midterm year. I think it'll be great. Anyway, we'll wait for more details. So
it probably
um,
won't be in Minneapolis, though. So
probably won't be anywhere in Minnesota.
no,
Yeah. So let me ask you this: the Republican Party of Wisconsin in this upcoming election, and I'm talking particularly about the November election now. What does the Republican Party of Wisconsin need to do to attract the swing voters, the undecided voters?
let's talk about the Democrats' positions. I mean, there's some 80-20 positions that are going on. People don't want boys and girls mutilated. And they don't, when they, check sex change operations, when they amputate something, it doesn't grow back. You have changed them for life. And that appalls most people. And then boys and girls sports, and it's not just boys and girls sports. That means men and women's, adult men and in women's locker rooms. Saw somewhere that one gym wasn't in Wisconsin, but some lady complained that there was a man in the women's bathroom, and they actually terminated her membership in the club. So, it's like, this is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
talk about that stuff. Talk about the Democrats' bills, what they want. The pornography in the schools, it's flat out pornography. That's what Moms for Liberty is talking about. I mean, they won't let you read those books on the air because it violates FCC regulations for and they're putting them in schools. They're putting them in kindergarten schools. And they get, you have the drag queens always want to read in, to kindergarten classes. That's ridiculous. So that kind of stuff, those are 80-20 issues, but we got to get the message out. And there's many other ones too, the tax increases, whatever. If Trump economy keeps improving, that's huge too, because it's no matter what points you have, if the economy is bad, you can't get your message out. Right now, it's looking good. The tax changes have been good. As refunds are going out. Something that never got the publicity it should, but if you're 67 or above in Wisconsin, the Republicans put in a provision, amazingly, that Governor Evers didn't veto this, but $24,000 per person of your retirement income, if you're retired, pension, 401k, 401c accounts. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Your retirement income,
401k.
24,000 is exempt. That is huge. If you got a couple for 68,000, if you're 67 or older, that's. I saw Howard Mark. I mentioned that in an email, but Republicans got to talk about kind of stuff. Look what we've done. Let's keep doing this. We can do more without Evers there.
Yeah. The Republican Party is going to have a caucus soon in the 2nd congressional district. That's our district here. Would you like to share with the audience when that caucus is, and where, and what kind of an event you expect it to be, given that it's such an important midterm year, and
I hope
also
we have a good.
yeah, go ahead.
That's hoping we have a good turnout. So go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, and then also which candidates do you expect to have as speakers
Okay.
at the event?
Yeah, it's going to be Saturday, March 21st at Rex's Innkeeper in Wanakee. So registration's at 9 a.m. The program starts at 10. You don't need to be a Republican Party member to attend if you want to hear the speakers. You can only, when it comes to issues to vote on, you have to be a member. But all we're voting on this year is district resolutions. There's no endorsements. There's no votes for anything else. So basically, come and participate. Here the speakers. We have a good lineup. Tom Tiffany is coming. Maria Lazar is coming. Your Tony, who's running for Attorney General, is coming. All 3 candidates for Lieutenant Governor are coming. I think a couple candidates for Secretary of State are coming. And our keynote, and you're giving an update from Senator Johnson. And the keynote speaker is Lisa Ekman from Moms for Liberty. They started a Dane County chapter, and they'd like to start chapters in the other 5 counties in our district. So she's going to talk a little bit about Moms for Liberty. There's no cost to attend our caucuses. I hate caucus fees. We got rid of those once I took office. No fancy breakfast or anything. It's a low budget thing. We'll have cookies and treats there and coffee. Be done by noon. So the last 3 caucuses we've had have been in April, and it's been beautiful spring days, and it's hurt attendance, although we had still 100 people or more. But I think we moved it up 3 weeks. March 21st, I hope no blizzards, but it probably won't be really hot. And I think it'd be a good day to come out to Wanakee. It's easy to get to, right on Highway 19. So no matter where you're coming in from. Rex's Innkeeper is a nice setup because it's got different curtains for rooms. You can keep opening up curtains and make it bigger and bigger. So you don't have a big room that's half filled, but you don't have a small room that's people can't even find a place to sit. So yeah, hopefully you get 150, 200 people. That'd be wonderful.
That's great.
Never know until the day comes.
Right. That's true. Tell us something about the upcoming Republican state convention.
Yeah, that's at Kalahari in Wisconsin Dells. Great place for conventions. It's May 15 and 16. So yeah, hopefully you have to be a party member to attend, although they do allow guests. Yeah, it's a nice place for a convention. People can bring their family. You stay overnight. The kids can play in the pools up there. It's a nice facility. I don't know who the main speakers are. We're going to, 2nd District, do something different. We're going to have our own hospitality room because we had a generous donor who agreed to cover the cost. So we're not going to spend donated money on a hospitality room, but if someone's willing to sponsor it for us, we said yes. So stop by when you're there. We certainly in the 2nd District are enthusiastic, so hopefully it follows through. There's some good leaders around the state. There was quite a bit of turnover last spring in district leadership, and I'm very much impressed with what I'm seeing in other districts.
And you do expect a good turnout, given that there are so many important races this year?
Yeah, the endorsements will always get people out. Now without a downside of this, without a big battle for governor, there isn't so much about who wins the endorsement. There will be endorsements for like lieutenant governor, secretary of state, not treasurer as an incumbent, and attorney general. But I don't think there's any other people running besides Eric Toney. So the endorsements from 2022 had really attracted people to the convention here in Madison. Now it's a little bit less without that, but still, it's good to come and show enthusiasm, and you're still voting. And again, I've not liked endorsements, but after the 2022 election, I realized that where we didn't endorse anyone, we need to do this. And just we can't do primaries. Let's start off this conversation saying we can't do primaries. So, yeah, I'm going to back whoever's endorsed by the convention, my candidate. Go ahead.
Would you
So
like to share? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, so although the actual nominee is determined by the August primary.
So, if anyone is listening to this and they are not from the second congressional district, but wants to learn more, um, maybe wants to volunteer, maybe wants to help out candidates. So, if people want to get in touch with you, and of course, people from the second congressional district, if they have not been involved in the Republican Party and now they want to, so uh, would you share your website information for anyone who's interested to get in touch with you?
Certainly, it's wi2cd.com. Nice short domain name. So WI for Wisconsin, second district, number 2, and CD for congressionaldistrict.com. I'm going to start revamping the website a little bit this next month. I didn't do a lot last year because after the spring election, there was nothing happening. So it's going to improve as we go on. But there's a link to donate there too, so we could appreciate. If you can't come and help, send some money this way. Anything we raise is spent in the second district. If you want to volunteer, we'll put you in touch with candidates. We have some good candidates running. I think they're going to be aggressive around the state. I like what I'm seeing so far from all of them. So we're going to give the Democrats a heck of a fight. So, and people want to come here in the fall to help knock on doors. Wisconsin in October and September is a great time to be here.
Absolutely. So, I know there's a lot more that we can talk about. There's just so much going on in the state and around the country. But obviously, we cannot cover all topics of interest. But
all day.
I know, and that's how my brain works. I'm always keeping track of what's happening in the state, what's happening nationally, what are the breaking news updates, what's going on, and we're just so connected.
I'm going to read that Lincoln quote at the caucus. So people need to realize what we're facing. This isn't just an election. This isn't your dad's grandfather's Democratic Party either. This is not the party of FDR or John Kennedy. This is the party of Vladimir Lenin practically, and history tends to repeat. Yeah. They want power, and they're not going to let up next time.
Anything else that you would like to add you think is important that we missed? Any message for the people who are listening or watching the video?
Not really. Just wake up. Pay attention to the news. Pay attention. Get alternative news. Don't go by what CNN or MSNBC tells you. That's just Democrat propaganda. So everybody's got to access the internet. You got smartphones. It's out there. You just have to do a little work and find it. Fox News is good. Newsmax is on Spectrum Cable there. It's in a lot of places. Very good news. Just get past the propaganda media, I call them, and see what's really happening in this country.
Yeah. And Mr. Johnson, you shared your website information, but let me also ask you, you do have, your second congressional district, you do have presence on X and Facebook, right?
X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Okay,
so
perfect.
We're out there. Also Truth Social, but I haven't done much of that yet. But yes, we're always looking for some volunteers to help more with social media. It's literally in campaigns a full-time job, if not more. Right. So, and if you want to email us, just chair at wi2cd.com or else just info at wi2cd.com. We're easy to find on the web.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So anyone who's listening who may be interested to get in touch with Mr. Johnson to find volunteer opportunities or just to help out candidates or even just to learn more about what's going on in the second district, you can visit the website, and you can also email Mr. Billie Johnson, chairman of Republican Party's 2nd Congressional District here in Wisconsin.
We need money and we need campaign funds. So
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so very much.
thank you.
It's always a pleasure having um, these conversations with you. We've done this before. We've done a live stream discussion in the past. We also did a podcast episode. I believe it was last year. And there's going to be a lot more to discuss in the months ahead. So hopefully, maybe sometime again in a couple months, you can come back and give us an update.
Sure. If somebody says let's talk politics for an hour, it's my happy it's a happy time for me. Let's talk for 2 hours. So
Perfect. Yeah, I would definitely enjoy that, and it's good to be able to do it this way because we can then share the conversation with the world to listen to, and hopefully the message will spread far and wide so that others can also know the importance of the 2nd Congressional District and what difference the 2nd Congressional District can make in any statewide race. So thank you for sharing that, Mr.
thank you for having
Johnson.
me.
All right. So I wish you all the best, and obviously I'll be in touch with you. I'll see you very soon at the 2nd Congressional District Caucus. I'm looking forward to the event, and we'll talk again very
You're
soon.
speaking too, so you'll be there.
Yes, I look forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can visit my website, which is tausifanam.net. If you want to send me an email, you can do that. My email address is tausif@tausifanam.net. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Truth Social. You can find me. And thank you once again for continuing to listen to my podcast, Explore and Engage with Anam. And I hope to be back again very soon with a new episode. Thank you.